So the way we look at SDN, I think the main importance is to enable the big data style applications in the enterprise, and which basically requires us to redesign or rethink the way we have been designing data centers. So to enable big data applications, as well as enable virtualization of not just the compute but also the storage and the network, I think SDN has a very important role to play. And we see that this is not only going to change the way people actually deploy applications, but also IT as a service. To enable IT as a service, you really need a very fungible, very dynamic and agile infrastructure. And that can only come if your compute is virtualized, your storage is virtualized, as well as your network is virtualized.
Well, I think software-defined networking, it's all about agility, providing a level of agility to the network that's never seen before, and it's much needed right now.
Well, I think the key about software-defined networking is really about simplification. If we look at networking over the last 20 years, it's become increasingly complex because of different problems that were solved, while other parts have become simpler, like servers and so forth. Things have become simpler. People can automate them much easier. And I think SDN is really about bringing back the tie to the network so that you can tie your business goals and your business logic to what your network is doing, and removing some of the layers that maybe were put in there over time of complexity.
I think SDN, a lot of people think about it's all out blue. It's just a different way to control the networking and switch. We think different. We actually think that SDN provide a true solution for virtualization. We see the server got virtualized, pretty much VMware leading the role, that you'll be able to free to move the server around freely. You can add and delete the virtual machine anytime. But the network actually still with a traditional static way. It worked like 20 years ago when we start doing the Ethernet and IP address. But SDN actually bring a new way that you'll be able to dynamic control the network, and that allow you to be able to virtualize the network and be able to really support the virtualization from the server and the networking side.
So I think the promise is as follows. With growing consumerization of the workforce, of the network infrastructure, with the mobility of users, virtual machines, what that ends up with is a need for increased automation and control of the network in a centralized way. And so the real promise of SDN is enabling that automation in an open and interoperable environment. So it's not just the hardware platforms, it's not just the agents and the controllers, but ultimately it's the applications that result in lower total cost of ownership and better efficiencies that could be in the campus, it could be in a Fortune 500 data center, or it could be in a mobile operator.